So the topic is about the sex between married adults is morally acceptable. So it is okay to have sex when you're a married couple? That is a common question among teens and engaged couples. Perhaps you are in a relationship that is progressing in that direction, but you are not sure what to do. In your mind, you are probably weighing the pros and cons of having sex between a married couple. On the positive side of the scale, there is an acceptance from your peers, for hope for pleasure and fulfillment of sexual desires. The negative sides of the scales carries the weights of morals, fears of pregnancy, disease, and guilt. How do these scales balance? What is the right decision? So let's take a look at some facts of the affirmative, or which we agree, and the negative, which we disagree. So the affirmative, which we agree. If you're in love and take the proper precautions, what's wrong with making love even if you're not married? Sex is beautiful and natural, so it is not something to fear. The statistic shows the moral stance of Americans regarding sexual intercourse between an unmarried man and woman as of 2018. During the survey, 69% of respondents stated that they think sex between unmarried partners is morally acceptable. So in the past few years indicate no one waits until their wedding night for sex. It's no longer wrong, and stars like Britney Spears and Jessica Alba, all of whom previously stood in favor of premarital abstinence, later claimed to have had sex before saying "I do." So in terms of happiness, sex is better than money, and having sex once a week instead of once a month is the happiest equivalent of an extra 50,000 pesos a year. People with active sex lives live longer. Sex releases stress, boosts immunities, helps you sleep, and is heart healthy. So sex is natural and makes us happy. It is natural and normal for most of human beings to pursue sex, especially at an age when they begin to understand their sexual identity. So some cultures tolerate sexual activity between consenting and married adult individuals. In some areas, it is viewed as acceptable for unmarried adolescents to engage in some forms of sexual intimacy. Many people believe that apart from sexual intercourse, there is nothing wrong with sexual intimacies between unmarried partners. So sex is good whether you're married or not. Most adult human beings naturally desire sex. Sex is like most other pleasurable things in life. You can have sex in ways that are fulfilling, fun, and good and generous. Instead of fooling ourselves into thinking that waiting until marriage makes sex good, we should focus on how ethical, responsible sexual practices, taking precautions to protect the physical and mental health of yourself and partner. Having sex that is fully consensual and focused on mutual pleasure are part of being unethical. So, responsible human being, sexual morality isn't about how long you wait. It's about how you treat yourself and the people you're with. So the negative side, which we disagree. So there is no Hebrew or Greek word used in the Bible that precisely refers to sex before marriage. The Bible undeniably condemns adultery and sexual immorality. But is sex before marriage considered sexually immoral? According to 1 Corinthians 7 of 2, yes, is the clear answer. But since there is so much immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. It clearly includes sex before marriage in the definition of sexual immorality. All of the Bible verses that condemn sexual immorality as being sinful also condemn sex before marriage as sinful. Sex within marriage is pleasurable, and God designed it that way. God wants men and women to enjoy sexual activity within the confines of marriage. It's a moral thing to do whether it's religious reasons, health reasons, or quite frankly any reasons at all. Waiting to have sex after marriage has been hailed by the many as the moral thing to do, including by the actress Julianne Hough, who claims she is saving sex for marriage. This boils down to sexual ethics based on moral grounds. With the self-will and persistence needed to abstain, the ability for someone to have sex before marriage deserves a medal. Sex is for marriage, and marriage is for sex. God wants us to save sex for marriage not because it's bad or dirty, but because it's unique, exclusive, and wonderful. Sex isn't just casual fun, and it is just a feel-good, a way of expressing mutual love. It's about two people becoming one flesh. Sex is deeply mystical, metaphysical thing and designed by God to be so. To have sex with a person is to literally become one flesh with them, not just physically, but mystically and spiritually as well. Sex as outside the marital commitments is sinful and wrong because it is an exploitation of the other for the sake of pleasure. God created the sex act for a man and woman within a marriage. Besides being pleasurable, sex is meant to be spiritual experience that extends past the marriage bed into everyday life of a married couple. Rarely does a premarital sexual relationship stay together long enough to marriage vows. People engaging in this activity will experience the heart-rending emotional upset that comes with breaking up. And when people experience multiple breakups, it numbs them to marriage commitment of until death do us apart. So they have conditioned themselves to run instead of working out problems that arises with marriages. So the divorce statistics are higher with the couple engaged in premarital sex or live together before deciding to marry.